The Guardians. The explanations of the spiritual world of light. From Explanations number 50. 2. Through the teaching of the Master you know that before the beginning of time, before the universe existed, those beings who had emerged from the bosom of God surrounded the Father in the great beyond. 3. Many of those spirits, dazzled by the splendors that the Lord placed upon them, allowed themselves to be dominated by the arrogance and the Lord, on contemplating them weak and with limited elevation, in His infinite love for those creatures, created for them a material universe where those children would have the opportunity, restituting and acknowledging their faults, to return cleansed to the bosom of God. Thus those spirits incarnated on earth and reveled in all the grace and beauty of nature. 4. This dwelling in which you live was created by your Father to provide a home for man and everything necessary for the evolution of His Spirit. 5. You have been told that the formation of the worlds and of all the wonders of creation took place in 7 great stages, symbolized by 7 days. 6. This, my brothers, is only an expression, a metaphor, so that you may comprehend that what to you may seem like an eternity, it is only an instant for the Divine Spirit. 7. Everything was prepared and in order in a perfect form. 8. Man, his spirit endowed with intelligence and will, began taking his first steps along the road of evolution, so as to reach through self-effort his development and elevation. In this manner he would be capable of knowing and loving his Lord and returning to Him with the necessary merits after an existence of struggle, to call himself Son of God with dignity, because a pure spirit is not the same as a full evolved spirit. 9. To achieve those divine objects, the Father endowed the material creation with the breath of life, with that vital force that you call soul. 11. From that breath of life, which vibrates in all creation, God formed the human soul. But do not confuse the spirit with the soul. The spirit is essence, and the soul is substance. 12. The spirit is part of the Father Himself. The soul is the subtle element by which the Spirit manifests Himself in the material universe. 13. Even the soul, being so ethereal and transparent, do you believe that it existed before the material creation? No, my brothers. It is the Spirit who has been in existence even before the material universe. 14. And so that the children of God could be able to assess their own deeds, He granted them the conscience, a spark of His divine Spirit, which, as a guide and advisor, would dictate to them what would be convenient for their state of constant development, and in that way would direct them toward righteousness and make them reject evil. 15. Man through the times has tried to erroneously personify evil and has designated it under different names, which has caused origination of myths and superstitious cults, and which is not in accord with the spiritual evolution that you have attained. You know, through the word of the Father, that no being exists which has been created by God whose mission is to commit evil. 16. Thus you will see, my brothers, that the Father Creator endowed His children with everything necessary to know Him, understand Him, and love Him, and at every moment He illuminated and instructed them so that they would be close to Him and not feel like strangers and absentees, but rather close and loved with infinite tenderness by their Lord. 17. Here then is the why of the creation of man. 18. In the parable of the paradise, You are told of the forbidden fruit of the science of evil, that man should never have tasted, of the serpent, which is the symbol of temptation, and of the low inclinations of the flesh. And in that parable you are told the story of how temptation presented itself to man with that bad fruit, and the latter on taking a bite, lost that paradise that the Father had given him for recreation and evolution. 19. You know, through the teachings of this era, that the flesh revealed to man the secrets of the human life, and the Spirit revealed to the flesh the existence of the Father Creator. This was the beginning of the development and evolution of man. 20. And in order for those creatures, who lived in a state of innocence, to love and understand the Father in all his greatness, he permitted them, in his infinite wisdom, to renounce, because their free will, a life of contemplation and peace, and initiate for them a world of struggle and labor, but at the same time of evolution and merits. 21. By this you can understand that the true paradise was not outside those children, but rather within themselves. 22. You must also remember that the primitive law given to Adam and Eve for the propagation of the human species was grow and multiply and fill the earth. And within the fulfillment of that mandate, there was no evil or sin. Now the Divine Master has told you that you should grow in wisdom and multiply in deeds of love and charity. 23. And from the seed of Adam and Eve appeared Cain and Abel, symbolizing the two roads that the Spirit encountered from the beginning, the pathway to righteousness and the pathway to evil. 24. The pathway to righteousness, where the virtues exist, was outlined by the love of God and is symbolized by Abel. The pathway of evil, represented by Cain, is the one made by man to convert those virtues into sin. 25. And the generations that followed those first people populated the world, penetrating more each time into the pathway of evil and fighting of righteousness. 26. On contemplating that in that struggle evil was greater than good, the Father sent his justice through a flood. 27. Only he just Noah was saved from the waters by the Lord, together with his family and every animal species. And from that salvation emerged the generations which inhabit your world today. 28. After the symbolic 40 days of the flood, the Lord placed the rainbow of peace across the sky as a sign of reconciliation with mankind, symbolizing, with its 7 colors, the 7 virtues which are the spirits who surround the Father. The rainbow remained as a sign of peace and cordiality between the heaven and the earth, as a symbol of the first covenant of the Father with humanity. 29. Continue studying, my brothers, and you will know through the new generations that when the children of God reach the culmination of their development, they will once again feel in their spirit the beatitude and the peace which they experienced before the beginning of the times. This is the true significance of the lost paradise, which the Spirit will recover through his evolution, when he has made himself worthy of the kingdom of the Father, which is the spiritual perfection.